All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Grandmaster Magesh Panchanathan, and this is Prochess Training Group 1 Training Game Analysis. So, welcome to Prochess Training Analysis. I've been behind for the last 2 or 3 weeks, so we have some catching up to do. We're going to go over some of these examples that you have played in your training games. Hopefully, you gained a lot of good experience. And I definitely want you to see this video and look up the games that I'm talking about so you can actually compare it with how you did in your games. This is the main reason why we like training games. So we'll go ahead and get started now. The first position you're going to look at right now is a position I had set up as an example for piece activity. By the way, the examples we set up are usually based on what lessons you're learning that week or you're about to learn or something that you just learned. So it'll be something around that. So we try to keep it connected in such a way that you learn something and you kind of try to implement it. That's the idea. Or you try something and then you learn something about it. Either way, so I think the process is very nice. So this one, also called as the Immortal Ukrainian Game. It's one of my favorite games for teaching. It's pretty nice. It's pretty instructive, and you can really understand how piece activity works here. So let's go ahead and get started. White played rook to d3 here. Every piece, of course, comes in. This rook will come to e1 next. And there are plenty of candidate moves here. I'm guessing white can probably get a reasonable advantage playing lots of different moves. So if you played some different moves, I wouldn't really worry about it. As long as you kept your pieces active, did not trade off pieces. If your queens got traded off, you went into an endgame or something like that, then I would be a little concerned. But otherwise, I think if you kept active play, then I would say you're still okay, not too far off. But the game was very precise and nice. Yeah, he plays rook d3. He's going to do a rook lift. This rook is coming to e1. Rook a6 happened. Rook e1. So already you can see that black's pressure is a lot on d6. Luckily, wrong button. So luckily, he has some defense on d6 with rook a6. But even otherwise, I think this is just too much pressure. And this is going to be a lot of pressure as well. So that's what basically happened in the game. Queen f5, knight d5, jumping in, and then pawn takes, knight takes d6, and then rook g3. Again, these moves are very self-explanatory. White is just simply activating the pieces and bringing everything in together, right? As you can see now, every single white piece is just doing a great job. And this is exactly what I was talking about when I said you have to just keep your pieces active and keep playing. If you did that in your training games, you did a good job, right? But if your queens were traded right now, think about it, right? The pressure will go a little lower. And then let's say the rooks get traded. Even better for black. So slowly your active pieces go off the board. Black comes back into the game. That's what you should not do as white here. f6 was played. So other than just improving your pieces and putting in good places and attacking, this game has some tactical finish too. So let's get to that part. Bishop h6 was played. Rook f7 was played. And now I would recommend our viewers to pause the video a little bit and think about what would you play as white in this position. I would give you probably about 5 minutes maximum. I mean, you can explore a little bit more if you want, but roughly. Okay, so hopefully you guys paused. You looked into what you can do. The idea is pretty nice because rook e8 would be checkmate because this block will run into rook takes g7. But the problem is there's a defender. And the defender is not under direct attack, but there's a discovered attack. So this is a beautiful combination of checkmate, remove the defender, discovered attack, all combined in together. So white played knight to b4. So knight has to go somewhere. Knight to b4 is the only move that really attacks the rook. I mean, any other move, this rook could have moved or it would have been not the same exact thing. So after pawn takes, queen takes d6. Now, obviously, I cannot take it back. And after queen to d7. And again, I would ask our viewers to pause and try to see what would be the best move for white here. It's a beautiful move. I think it's a very nice finish. Let's see if we can figure it out. Okay. Hopefully, you figured out the move. It's a quiet move. Queen to d5. Brilliant. Because now I'm threatening rook takes g7. And the whole time, black cannot take on d5 because of rook e8 check. So clearly a problem, yeah? So after king f8, the game basically ended with rook takes. And after queen takes, there is a nice sequence of a checkmate in 3 If you want, you can quickly figure it out. And the answer is check, followed by rook e8 and grab. So a pretty cool game, but just a couple of lessons to keep this from this game is that when you have active pieces, keep adding the pressure, don't trade off, play the most natural moves, but also keep the pressure, keep attacking, right? All right, let's move on to the next one. Okay, this is a famous game. This, I don't know if anyone recognizes the game. It's the only World Championship classical game that Anand actually beat Carlsen in, and we were all super excited. We were actually watching this game live, and this again demonstrates that if you get stuck in bad opening preparation or get into some difficult position with Anand in opening, even Magnus Carlsen might suffer. And this was one of his opening preparations. And this theme was about passed pawn in the middle game, right? Again, I would really recommend you guys studying this game. This was in the Sochi World Championship match. Anand is playing white, and this match was a lot closer and very entertaining. So c7, the idea is that c pawn is basically your trump card here, right? That's the pawn you have to hold on to. That's the pawn that should help you win the game. So that's really the key. Even though black is actually up a pawn, but white c5 pawn is really going to do the damage, yeah? So knight to b5, and then a4. So again, there's lots of variations. I don't want to go in depth because that will become a calculation frenzy. I'm not going to do that. I'm just simply going to show you how the c7 pawn dominates. Even though it's middle game with so many pieces on the board and it's well blockaded, that pawn really dominates the game. Rook c1 was played. So black is obviously trying to do force pawn takes b4, bishop takes b4 check to mess up the king's castling situation. But of course, Anand declines that and even gives up another pawn. I can take, but the real problem is once this is backed up, now he has to be, black has to worry about this move. For example, bishop d6 is a very strong threat with the idea of knight d6, right? And black will simply lose the queen. Strong pass pawn. So knight d4 was played. And now again, since we just saw some kind of remove the defender theme, you can pause and try to see what Anand played here. Hopefully you figure it out. Again, remove the defender, knight to g5, yeah? So this knight is kind of guarding the d6 square at some point. A small tactical way to try to push it out. After knight df6 and knight df6 and basically knight takes e4. Let's make, it's not making a move. Here it is, knight takes e4, knight takes e4, and f3. So I think Magnus is stuck in this serious problem because if he ever plays anything like knight c3, I can simply take, and this pawn is just there to stay. And the queen cannot move, I'll simply castle. Now also it's equal pawns. So, and he cannot move anywhere else because of bishop d6 like I talked about. No matter what black plays, the bishop gets traded, the knight goes to d6 and you lose the queen. So that looks pretty bad. So eventually rook a5 was played and f takes e4 and rook takes b5. And all of these were still played. It's not like these were not played. This is still part of the opening. Queen takes a4 and rook a5. Again, let's not go too much into the calculation part of it, but just go through this. Queen c6, b takes a3, e takes d5, rook takes d5, and now black has a very strong passed pawn in a3 too. But the problem is white's pieces are much more, on top of the c7 pawn. I don't think the black pawn on a3 will be so dangerous at all because if I just castle, even if you play a2, nothing, right? You're not threatening a1 at all, and it's easier for me to deal with that pawn. Whereas the white pawn is going to be really, really dangerous once I start getting this. As we all know, connected pass pawns a lot more dangerous than a single pass pawn, right? And of course, if black can also get this on time, yes, it can be dangerous, but I don't see that happening. White is too well placed to stop that. Well, in fact, he just took it. So no more second possibility. Castle, rook c8, rook to c6. And I guess the simple idea is that I'm going to double up and also play at some point, maybe queen. I don't know. I'll just go after this one. So maybe queen b7 rook here is one of the ideas for Anand to catch this pawn from behind and then go for this ahead. But of course, I'll also play rook c1 at some point. So overall, it just looks like black just doesn't have a lot going on. Yeah. Like particularly this move, I'm not able to play this move. This would have been a nice move to play, right? If I can push this and create some threats over here, it'll be nice. But nope, I'm not able to do that, and that's the reason why black is in serious trouble. So after g5, bishop g3, bishop a5 was a mistake. So I'm just going through the moves, nothing very specific here. He's trying to do something tactical here. And after queen a6, bishop takes c7, I think he's just stuck in a deadly pin. This is just absolutely deadly. You're just losing material, yeah? After queen c4, rook takes c5 was the only way to salvage the position. I wouldn't say salvage, to play on. And after king f8, rook c1. So I think you can see how strong this game was. This whole game was purely based on that c pawn, nothing else, right? And that's it. Just pushed a c pawn, and that passed pawn became too deadly and too strong. Like right here, from the very first move, c7, Anand did not part with that pawn. Did not allow black to do anything to trade off that pawn or do anything to create any counterplay. In fact, the beautiful idea here is that he didn't touch the b4 pawn. Right, rook c1, saying I want to play bishop d6. That's more important, and kept black always on the run. Black had to continuously keep defending, right? So that is that. Now, actually, we will pause this here. We will try to make different videos for each of these training games. Hopefully, you understood these two games. We will have two more after this, and then two more after that. We'll finish all of that in those videos. But again, keep playing the training games. You definitely want to make sure that you see these games after your practical experience. You will learn a lot more when you do it that way. All right. Okay. Thank you.